Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, let's talk about what happened in Nevada yesterday, where presidential candidate and hopeful Nikki Haley just wasn't able to pull out the victory. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, can we have a conversation about former President Donald Trump and the latest legal decision of him saying that of the appeals court saying that he is not immune from the 2020 election interference case. We'll talk about the implications of that. Also, let's talk about how the Trump campaign is looking to take over the RNC, the Republican National Convention. We'll share with you the latest and why this should be of great concern to every American. And finally, we're going to have our culture artist spotlight. We're going to be checking in with Jason D. Harris to talk about the power of the independent Black artist. Stay with us. That's all coming up on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Oh, man, welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Wednesday. It is hump day, folks, so happy Wednesday to all of you checking in. If you're checking in, hopefully you're checking in through our homepage of blackstarnetwork.com. That is the official website of the Black Star Network and, of course, The Culture. So make sure you check us out as you download the app for free on all of your devices. You can certainly follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And, of course, we ask for you just a little bit of a little financial donation to help us continue this great work we are doing as we're putting out this type of content, having these type of conversations, and so much more. You can check everything out on our website at blackstarnetwork.com. And we truly, truly appreciate you for your support and your donations. Now, we're also streaming on Amazon platforms. You can check us out on Amazon News on your Fire TV. We're also on Amazon Prime Video, folks, and you can check us out. You can find us on the Prime Video app under Live TV, The News, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, then Live TV, The News. We're also streaming live on Freevee, on the Freevee network. And you can find us under News, and we're on now, and then going to News. And then we're also on Plex TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network. We'll find us on Live TV, The News, and Opinions. Now we're also streaming on Brother Roland Martin's Facebook page. You can find us there, so make sure you check us out. And big shout out to the crew that's on the Facebook page. Big shout out to all of you that are checking in. Well, also big shout out to those crew members on the X platform. So thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, we are streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube channel. And big shout out to the crew on the YouTube channel as folks are checking in from all around the country to be a part of the conversation. And folks, let me just say to you, there's no other place like this in the world on the web where you are actually a part of the conversation in such a major and interactive way. So let me just check in. Who we got here? We got Tiana, I see you. Anastasia Pageant, I see you. Good afternoon. Tony O'Hurd, I see you. Damon Blissett, Pastor Damon Blissett of the Block Church is in the chat. Who we got? Miss Pauline Hurt, Brian Christian, I see you. Official Sanika, all powers to the people. Absolutely. Thank you. Deidre Hall, I see you. Mary Lauder, good afternoon to you too, Mary. Thank you for checking in. Good to connect with you. My sister Corinna Denise is in, as well as the ABX girl. I see you, and so many more. Also, folks, when you come into the chat, please do your due diligence and hit that like button so that way we can get the algorithms going and get them shaking and moving toward the Black Star Network. All right, folks, now you know it's Wednesday, and every Wednesday we have a great, fantastic contributor. She's the host of the Suzette Speaks Show. She's also a licensed attorney out of the state of Florida. And you can find her here as a contributor here on The Culture and Roland Martin Unfiltered. My sister Suzette Speaks is joining me as well. Suzette, happy Wednesday.
How you doing? How's everything out there in LA? I was worried about you. How's the weather?
The weather is much better.
Okay,
Woo!
fantastic.
You know,
Well, we know.
being down in South Florida, you know a little something about rains, and them rains, woo, they not coming. It's
Yes,
not coming down straight down. It's like sideways rain. So,
yes, I hear you, and I'm so happy you guys are safe. Looking at the atmospheric river, it was really scary to see from here. So I can imagine you guys out there in LA. So glad that you're good.
yeah, it was certainly a lot scary, a lot of floods, mudslides. So thank goodness that a lot of us are okay, especially in like central LA. You know, we're kind of surrounded by the flatlands a little bit. But yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate that. All right, Suzette, let's talk a little bit very quickly. Let's get the conversation started talking about Nikki Haley and what we saw in the Nevada, primary. This is an interesting situation because yesterday they had their primary, and then tomorrow they actually have the caucus because of the way the voting system or the election system has set it up. But yesterday, when Nikki Haley was featured on the ballot for the primary, even though if she would have won, she still would not have gotten any delegates. But tomorrow, with Trump being on the caucus, it's expected that he will win and then he will get the delegates. So kind of help us to understand this system that was instituted in Nevada.
Yeah, Nevada has a little bit of confusion going on. And hello, everybody. Shout out. I see everybody in the chat. Welcome, Culture Crew. It's good to see all of you here. And yeah, like we're talking about, what's happening in Nevada is having both a primary election, which is a state-run election, right? The state of Nevada has put that together. Basically, what happened is that the legislature in Nevada, the Nevada House and Senate, decided back in 2021 that there was dwindling turnout in the caucus system, which is what Iowa has. Remember, we always talk about Iowa caucuses, where people show up in groups and they make their claim as to which candidate they're going to vote for. But they switched to a primary system back in 2021, which was held yesterday on Tuesday. However, the GOP, the Republican Party of Nevada, has dissented, has said they are not going to validate the primary. They're still going to have a caucus. So that's going to happen tomorrow on Thursday. As you stated, there are two different slates of candidates, all different names. Why? Because the Republican Party has said if you choose to submit your name into the state-run primary, again, which was Tuesday, you won't be permitted to put your name on the caucus ballot, which is tomorrow on Thursday. So imagine being a Republican voter. Do I vote Tuesday? Do I vote tomorrow? When should I have voted? Which one is real? Which one counts for real? So Nikki Haley submitted her name for the state-run, right, the state of Nevada, their election system primary, which was yesterday. They also had a choice on the ballot that said none of these candidates. And unfortunately, Miss Haley has lost to that selection with more than 88% of the precincts counted. 63% of Republicans who voted in the primary yesterday selected none of the candidates. Miss Haley came in second to none of the candidates at about 32%. I think Tim Scott had 4 or 5%. So did I think it was Mike Pence was still on that ballot with about 3 or 4%, and then so on and so forth, 0.5, 0.6, and several other people. So now we have what's coming up tomorrow, which is the caucus, where here we have it. Donald Trump will be on the ballot. Now, why did they do this? Why did they choose to split it up this way? Many would argue it's what President Trump wanted. He wanted to be included in this election some way, somehow, and they decided on the state-run election not to include him on that ballot. So instead, he said he would have a caucus, or he urged Republican officials there in Nevada who followed suit to have the caucus instead, so that he had a race that he could win. So you again saw Nikki Haley come in a distant second to who showed up. And now we have voters again that are going to show up on Thursday for the Republican Party run caucuses. So that's why we have two elections, same technical group of people running during the same week. So it's quite confusing. On top of this, Farajii, I'd like to mention that the Republican chairman of the Nevada State Party is under indictment right now. Apparently, there are reports that there's only one paid staffer in that party. And I know we have to take a break so we can talk more about it on the other side.
Absolutely. And there's so much happening in the state of Nevada. And more importantly, it was like a primary that didn't matter for Nikki Haley in the GOP. And because, she still came in a distant second. But then if she would have won, she wouldn't, like I mentioned, she wouldn't have gotten any delegates out of the situation. So when we come forward, Suzette, I'd like to get, what do you think her path is at this point? Because she has been very, very adamant about staying the course, that she's going to continue this campaign all the way up through Super Tuesday. So I would love to hear what you have to say about that. Crew, I want you to post your comments as well. Share your thoughts as we talk about what happened in the Nevada primary. Tomorrow's the caucus, as you heard Suzette elaborately break down how that system goes. But more importantly, what do you think is going to happen coming out of this Nevada election period? So we'll want to hear from you. Post your comments as we're streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube channel. And of course, stay tuned. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my sister, Suzette Speaks, one of our great contributors here on the show. She's also a contributor for Roland Martin Unfiltered, and she is a political strategist and attorney. And she's talking to us a little bit about the latest that is coming out of the state of Nevada as they had their primary yesterday, where presidential hopeful Nikki Haley was thinking that she was going to pull out some type of big win, only to find herself losing to, quote, none of these candidates. Man. So my question is, Suzette, she has been really diligent about staying on the path of this campaign until Super Tuesday next month. At this point, what happens?
Well, to quote the New York Times, this was an embarrassment because we have seen now the shift that has been going on with regards to, the parties, the state-run parties being so heavily aligned with former President Trump that someone like a Nikki Haley, who was not able to win in her own home state, is going to have a more challenging time every time now going forward, because unlike the New Hampshire caucuses, where there are people that are nonpartisan and independents that are able to vote, even Democrats could vote in that, where she saw overwhelming support. There are no other primaries that are going to be like that one going forward. It's just going to be the traditional Republican base. So looking ahead to Super Tuesday, if she couldn't pull out this type of at least closer race with no other candidate, it's very hard to see how she will have a viable path to victory. I've heard other commentators say, like Ms. Joanne Reed, she says that Nikki's not running for, or should I say Ambassador Haley, excuse me, is not running for president anymore. She's just building brand Nikki Haley. She might be vying for vice president. She might be vying for a cabinet or another cabinet position, or for 2028, because there doesn't seem to be any realistic pathway to victory. I also want to point out the Democratic results from Nevada that we just had yesterday on Tuesday's primary. Joe Biden won 89% of that vote, and only 6% of people, with 92% of the precincts counted, voted for that. No, none of the candidates. So at least Joe Biden is standing tall when it comes to the not someone listed, and then his base saying that he is their preferred choice. We also saw Marianne Williamson come away with 3% on the Democratic side. So what I'm saying is basically Nikki Haley really has no viable chance. What people are afraid of when we see the caucus tomorrow, the party is so aligned with former President Trump. They're saying that it is, the weights are skewed to his favor. As I was mentioning before we got to break, the chairman or now indicted chairman has been among 6 people that was indicted by a grand jury in December, just this December 2023, for their role in the 2020 election debacle. They were now charged with, I think his name is former chairman, or I think he's still chairman, Michael McDonald, vice chairman, Jim DeGraffenreid, have allegedly participated in what we know as the fake electors. Basically, they signed paperwork and sent it to Congress during the 2020 election, stating falsely that Mr. Trump had won Nevada. And instead of the official electors, which were the folks that were properly a part of sending the official results to Congress, they decided to make themselves electors, right? And to sign paperwork and send it over to Congress and say, no, Mr. Trump won. So this is a part of the allegations. Again, they are denying any wrongdoing, but we're seeing this from the top of the party. That is the Republican chairman of the Nevada State Republican Party. So if those are the folks who are running this election, as I mentioned before, reports say there's only one paid staff member right now in the Republican Party in Nevada, which is crazy to think about. And we can go into it in terms of like what we're seeing in terms of trends in state parties on the Republican side, because there is a slow implosion happening. It's not just Nevada. We can talk about what's happening here in Florida. We can talk about what's happening with the leadership in Arizona and other states to kind of signify what happens when you blindly follow this one person, former President Trump, and what he wants, and in doing his bidding, what happens to your party? So we're looking at results that we kind of know what will happen tomorrow, right? I'm sure we can pretty much predict what his support will look like, but is it a true reflection of the general election results that are possible in Nevada? Probably not. And as you said, the delegates that will be counted will come out of tomorrow's Republican caucuses. So there's, again, a lot. If I'm a voter in Nevada, I'm looking around like, what's going on? Why am I having 2 elections during the same week? And they are kind of in competition with one another, one by the state, one by the party itself, one with some names who are running for president, one with the other names. So there's no real true competition going on, right, to pick the best person, right? There are 2 separate slates of names, and you have to vote twice. So looking at what's going on there, again, what is happening among the leadership there, and Nevada is a swing state. So it doesn't bode well either for the party as a whole or Miss in specific.
It does not bode well. It's embarrassing. Going back to that comment that you made, it's embarrassing. And at this point, she probably I would recommend she just suspend her campaign. Brian Christian, you said the same thing. Nikki Haley should just drop out so she can stop using taxpayer money just for her branding. That's a good point.
She's going to get them speaker fees. She's going to get them speaker fees. A book or 2. It's about branding.
Which is modern day America. Everything is about damn branding, Suzette. You know what I'm saying? It's like
the book deal, the speaking engagements. It's sad, but yeah, there's an upside for her staying in the race.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me see here. Cindy D, you said none of the above should be Trump too, with laughing emojis. We will have to see about that. But you said something.
We're not going to include that on this ballot. I don't know for sure, but I'm sure he had a say in what goes on in these caucus races. So I would doubt it.
No, I don't. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. But it is quite interesting to see how this shift is happening. And I know we got to take another quick pause. But when we come forward, I want us to talk about it, because even though Trump is moving forward in these contests, he still has to overcome these hurdles in his legal issues, right? And this latest situation, this latest decision by the appeals court saying that he is not immune from the 2020 election interference case, that he is not immune to prosecution, that he should be held responsible essentially for this if it can be proven. So that is the big part of this. That is the big part of this, that he still has to, even though he's winning these primary contests, it doesn't mean that his troubles are over. It's not like a clear pathway for him. So I want to certainly get your take on what the appeals court had to say and the implications of this, because this, of course, is going to be taken all the way to the Supreme Court. And this is where it starts to get sticky, where the Supreme Court is going to have to ask themselves the question. I'm talking about the super conservative majority, whether they want to keep their allegiance to the law or keep their allegiance to the man who has given them some of the seats that they need to stay in power. And I think that's going to be the great, great dilemma of this Supreme Court. So we're going to talk a little bit about this appeal court ruling and so much more. Crew, I want to get your take on that as well. Join us in the conversation. Post your comments as we're streaming live on Roland Martin's Facebook page, Roland Martin's YouTube channel. And of course, we are streaming on our own website at blackstarnetwork.com. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. I am joined by my sister, Suzette Speaks, who is a licensed attorney out of the state of Florida, political strategist, and the host of the Suzette Speaks show. She's talking to us about what is going on with this former president, because as he's even winning primary contests, he still has to deal with the legal issues of what he has been involved in, which is this election interference, the big lie, and the legal implications of that. Yesterday, and I want to at least let's put up quote number 3, where this three-judge panel of the U.S. Circuit Court. Take a look at this, folks. This is from NBC News. 3-judge panel of the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia ruled that there was no basis for Trump to assert that former presidents have blanket immunity from prosecution for any acts committed as president. According to the 57-page ruling, it said, quote, for the purpose of this criminal case, former President Trump has become citizen Trump with all of the defenses of any other criminal defendant. But any executive immunity that may have protected him while he served as president no longer protects him against this prosecution. Wow. Now, this is big, but this is America too. Come on, Suzette. This is America too. This is also the same country that, and I'm not going to say country, this is also the same person and who's connected to the same party who's on a fast track of becoming the next nominee for president of the United States. Like, and I know many people, and this is not just black folks. I'm reading so many more reports now, Suzette, of white voters, white people in this country who are like, what the hell is going on? So, of course, we know Trump is going to appeal this, taking it to the Supreme Court, super conservative majority in that space. I think it's like a 6-3 majority of the Supreme Court for conservative. He put 3 of them, he gave them the job. Now, the Supreme Court is going to have to figure out whether they're going to accept this case, hear this case and essentially do a fast track ruling, or if they're going to not do it. But it opens up the door because now if the Supreme Court doesn't intervene, it opens up this door in the Pandora's box like, oh, so you're not going to intervene. He's going to be able to move forward on running for president. And essentially, it's going to leave all of this stuff in a cluster.
I'll jump in right here, Farajii. Yes, sir. There's a lot of moving parts going on, right? So what happened is that we did get a ruling from the appeals court. So remember, we have the trial court. That's the first court. Then most states have a middle level court, which is an appeals court. And then you have the top court of the state. And you have that also on the federal side, federal trial court, federal appeals court, and then the Supreme Court. So we have seen this issue, which Farajii has described, which is, should President Trump be exempt from any possible criminal prosecution for any acts committed while being president because he was president? And now we have seen the 3-judge panel on the DC Court of Appeals say, you're not immune. You're just like anyone else. Instead of being former President Trump, you are citizen Trump, and all of us are subject to the same laws, no matter what we were, what office we were holding. As of right now, this 50-plus page opinion lays out with detailed case law why it's impossible to take the other side of the argument, which is because he was president, which is what his attorneys argued, he can no longer face any kind of criminal prosecution. He's, in fact, criminally immune, which would mean, again, we would have a monarch of sorts going on instead of a president who is also a citizen of our country. So right now, the Trump team has a decision to make. That is whether or not, as you've stated, to appeal this case to the Supreme Court.
Now, we know when they're going to do that, Suzette.
Well, it has a couple things that can happen. So he can choose to appeal, but the nature of the Supreme Court is that they must accept. So once they vote to accept, I think you have to have 4 justices to accept a case to go on up. And then there's also the question, the $1 million question, as to timing. Now, Jack Smith, the prosecutor, has asked for the court to move quickly on this. And the appeals court did, right? Taking it up right away, getting it heard right away. And it is going to be possible, like 3 maybe more. Let me just tell you a few of the scenarios that could happen. Possibly the Supreme Court could deny hearing this, which again, it might be, they denied it before because remember Jack Smith, back when we discussed it in December, asked
I was going to ask,
appeals process and go straight to the Supremes. Supreme said, no, go to the appeals, go to the middle level first, and then we'll hear it. Well, they did that. The appeals court did expedite it and now have a ruling. Now there again has to be a choice made by the Supremes whether or not they will take up the case. Now, if they do it expeditiously, we could possibly see a resulting ruling in months. But Trump's team will argue, don't take this up expeditiously. Don't fast track this. Treat me, since y'all say I'm a citizen, treat me like anyone else, which would put it on a timeline way past the November election. So there are 2 things going on: if they will take it up and if they will move it quickly. Those are 2 things there.
All right, now, can I stop you there real quick? Suzette? And I know we got to take another quick pause, but just in that part alone, with Trump's team saying don't fast track it, and then the Supremes possibly being able to fast track it, isn't that an indicator of the politics at play of this? Like isn't that a sign that if they say don't fast track because he's running for president, blah, blah, like we all know that if the rest of the country knows the motivations, the justices know the motivation behind that move. So how does the Supremes navigate through that? You know what I'm saying? Can't they overturn that? Can they say, like, you know what? We're not trying to make this political. We're looking at the severity of this case and of what happened. How do you know what I'm saying? Like, how do they address that?
There's a part C that could come through, which is the Trump team might also try to file a possible rehearing by the DC Circuit, but they call it en banc, which is now all the judges of that circuit must chime in on the ruling instead of the 3-judge panel. So there's that might flip the switch on it just based on the appeals results. But yes, I think, and there are a lot of legal minds that are possibly, and again, we cannot predict what the Supreme Court will do, but looking at the precedence of this being a matter of national importance and understanding whether, again, this puts other cases. Judge Tanya Chutkan's case will be on hold because she's not going to rule on moving forward if the president should face, immunity or claim immunity at all. So it kind of puts a hold on all the other cases or many of the other cases based on this legal theory. So if it doesn't go up and they reject the possibility of being heard at the Supreme Court level, then we do have a ruling, which is that Mr. Trump is just like anyone else, and he cannot be fully immune from any criminal prosecution, blanket immunity across the board because he was president. And I think, I don't want to postulate because we want to say what's likely, but this Supreme Court, as you pointed out, which is 6-3 in a very conservative leaning court, you just don't know if they are going to have the appetite to take it up in an expeditious manner. Now, again, there is political posturing there. We're supposed to see a court that is fully neutral and fully supportive of just upholding the law. And that, in theory, is what we hope to see. But that's the $1 million question, whether they're going to take it and if they're going to expedite it. It's just up to them. So we're going to have to wait and see.
All right, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, I'm going to get your take on this, crew. But the question really is, do you think, and we know that there is going to be an appeal, but do you think that the Supreme Court is going to hold their allegiance to Trump, who he put on some of those justices on the bench, or are they going to hold their allegiance to the law? That's the big question facing the Supreme Court with this particular case, folks. It is a huge, huge question. Look, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we're going to get your take on it. Post your comments on Roland Martin's YouTube channel chat or Roland Martin's Facebook page, and let's continue the conversation on the other side. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my sister Suzette Speaks, as we're talking about the latest decision coming from the appeals court that says that President Trump, former President Trump, can be held responsible, can be prosecuted for his involvement with the 2020 election interference case. This was a decision that was rendered by the 3-judge panel of the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. Essentially, they said no, that there was no basis for Mr. Trump to assert that former presidents have blanket immunity from prosecution for any acts committed as president, and that, quote unquote, that he should be seen as a citizen to be criminalized, to be prosecuted for this offense. But any executive immunity that may have protected him while he served as president no longer protects him against this prosecution. So this is, and I mean, you kind of laid out what the possibilities are from your vantage point, Suzette. From your vantage point, as a political, as an attorney, what do you think the Supreme Court is going to do? Like, how do you think, what do you see happening over these next couple of weeks going into the next month, leading up to Super Tuesday?
I mean,
what do you think is going to happen?
They bought some time by saying they weren't going to take it back in December, but here we are, a few weeks later, the appeals court has done its job. So looking at it, it would make sense. Now, I can't tell you what these people are going to do, but looking at it, it would make sense because of the national implications that this would, warrant a review by the Supreme Court. We do have the Colorado case coming up tomorrow. The oral arguments begin on that Colorado case. Remember, the Colorado Supreme Court upheld the ruling in that state that Mr. Trump was, in fact, by the definition involved in insurrection and therefore cannot be on the ballot. So I would kind of reserve, Farajii, to kind of hear. And of course, those who are present will take, I'm sure, copious notes as to what is being said in that case as the oral arguments begin tomorrow on the Colorado case. I would kind of first want to hear what's going on in their minds based on the questions and the line of questionings they're proffering to the attorneys in that Colorado case from the Trump side and from the state of Colorado side. So I would kind of reserve first to hear, certain cues, right? What to look for in certain parts of that that argument to see if they do have an appetite. Right now, it is, I'm telling you that if I had a crystal ball and I could tell you, that would be
right.
But they do have a case right now that they've decided to take up, which is that Colorado case, right? So I think based on what we're hearing out of that case, it would give us more of an idea as to where they are in terms of their appetite for taking up this case on so-called blanket immunity or the lack thereof. And whether or not they will hear it expeditiously, again, is up to them. And again, it just has these political, domino effects on the other cases. Judge Chutkin's case can no longer start March, right? It's supposed to be a March start date, but we have a big issue still. Does he have immunity or not? Right? DC Court of Appeals has given me one a ruling on it, but if they choose to appeal it, that's going to move that case back, right? Probably till after November. Right. So the speed of the other court cases are reliant upon this critical question. And again, this is different from what will be heard tomorrow, starting tomorrow, in those oral arguments, whether or not Mr. Trump is in fact, by law, not supposed to be on anybody's ballot, as Colorado has found, because of his behavior leading up to the 2020 election and the attempted overthrow thereof. So we're going to see, some indication, I think, starting in tomorrow's oral arguments.
Kathleen Davis, one of our great culture crew members, you said, why would they take this case when the ruling should be sustained and upheld as correct?
You have one chance. I don't mind our system, you guys. We get to appeal. If somebody gets it wrong, we go up to the next level of the court system and we say, hey, here's why they got it wrong. Please review it. And either they can uphold it or they can reverse it. So there's one more bite at the apple that the Trump team may choose to exercise, right? So this is as any citizen would. You start at the lower level, you go to the middle, you go to the higher level, right? And then you get, that's final. So why would they? It's the defendant's right. It's the defendant's right to appeal. So we want that protection. I don't mind having more than one bite at the apple at times, but you have to recall that the defense wants to drag it out. Right? Any defense attorney usually will want to prolong the proceedings, right? Let the evidence get stale. You don't want to say that there's influence among the jury. Of course, the jury should be neutral and just consider the facts presented to them as allowed by the court. But you want the mood of the country to change. There are various reasons why they want this to kind of be taking the normal pace as opposed to expediting it. But yeah, no, it's within our system that you can appeal. If you think that something was wrong and it's the outcome of your case, you have a right to appeal. So this is a natural part of what happens in our judicial system.
Now, Frankie said, I don't think he has been proven to have insurrection, so why he shouldn't be able to run. This is from Frankie.
I don't know if that's actually factual, Frankie. I think there's a lot of evidence to the contrary. That's what happened within Colorado's system. When their judge panel went over all the evidence, they listened to people who were on those grounds on the Capitol in 2020. They took testimony from countless people involved and present at the time of what took place leading up to January 6th. Their investigation in Colorado was quite extensive. And so it was an accumulation of all that evidence that led to that judge panel and then to their Supreme Court upholding that ruling in that particular state. So there's nothing, I think, supporting what you've just asserted, that he didn't have behavior that could be by law assessed to be insurrection in nature or supporting an insurrection. So that's the argument. But according to evidence presented in Colorado's courtrooms, according to witness testimony in Colorado's courtrooms, they found the opposite of what you're stating. So that's I think something that, again, the Supreme Court has now chosen to either uphold or to overturn. So we're going to have an ultimate answer soon enough.
We will have an ultimate answer, but here's the thing. We're going to take another quick pause. But the thing is, though, Suzanne, that all of this is still, while this is being determined by the court system, the Trump campaign, the Trump team is moving forward with their plans to be president, right? With Trump being president. And even more so than that, they have already kind of laid out the plans. They started the plans on reshaping the Republican National Convention as an organization, right? They are also, Trump said that he is calling for Ronna McDaniel, who serves as the RNC chair, to, step aside. They came up with some options, and I'm going on the other side. I want to lay out what their plans are, the options are on how they plan to, quote unquote, take over. This is very interesting. And that's why I'm saying, like, all of this is connected, folks, because just as much as we talk about these court cases, the fact is that Trump is instituting or leading the way to redefine the whole Republican Party, from the fundamental of the party in terms of its philosophy and ideas, to its political operations, to even how it even acquires money. And this is the concerning, dangerous path I think that we need to have a conversation about. And Suzette, yesterday we talked about the moderate Republican white voters in Nevada who weren't Trump fans, but who came from the Democratic Party, switched over to the Republican Party because they're looking for change, but they're not feeling like they're being accepted. But when I'm starting to connect the dots on where we are in this country, especially with white voters, and then, of course, in relationship to black voters, I'm starting to see that this is not just about a victory in an election. This is about a whole bigger system that, and I think this is very important, that if you bring this man into power, he's going to uproot all that we have known about the political system on the Republican side of things.
Not only the Republican, I would push back and say the U.S. government as a whole. I thought you were going to say he's prepping not only for his party, but he's prepping for changes ultimately in the country. That's why this matters.
And that's why I want us to have a conversation, because we've been on the air for 2 years, Suzette. I'm tired of having conversations where if people say, oh, well, what has Joe Biden done? Go to whitehouse.gov, y'all. But we now talking about next level stuff in terms of the impact that it has on our state of democracy. And I know President Biden I'm speaking of. President Biden has certainly talked about it. But this is very important to me.
Because I was just researching how many black women he has appointed to the bench.
And I get that. You can talk about it.
President Trump going to go into the federal. These are lifetime appointments that you end up seeing on your Supreme Court. And I'm looking at the diversity of what he has done. And we have 35 appointees that are lifetime appointees of women of color of all shapes and sizes, predominantly black. And you think if reelected, this person, there's all parts of this system that, again, there's so many parts that we can't get our hands around or our heads around, because it's like we're paying attention to this and we're paying attention to that. And I got inflation worried about how am I going to pay my bills? But there's a lot of forward movement by this current administration, the Biden administration. And we're not going to pretend that he's not doing anything. We're not going to ignore the gains that have been made, especially as it comes to black folk. But we can talk about it. But if we think that there will not be an upheaval, as you're describing, not within only the Republican Party, but within the United States political system, the government, the voting system as a whole, if this person is given another chance to go back in office, that's what they're hoping for. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it on the other side. Stay with us, folks. We would love to hear what you got to say. Post your comments on the chat as we stream it live on Roland Martin's YouTube channel, Roland Martin's Facebook page. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape. With me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. If you missed the first half of the show, you missed an informative first half, as we talked a little bit about the latest coming out of the Nevada primary and the loss suffered by Nikki Haley, former UN ambassador. And also we talked a little bit about the legal problems facing former President Donald Trump. So make sure you be a part of Team Replay. Join us. You can follow the show and you can see all of the show on our website at blackstarnetwork.com. You can download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And we ask for yours, the financial support in that space as well. So again, check us out all on blackstarnetwork.com. I'm checking in with my sister Suzette Speak, as we talked a little bit about this latest development coming out of the Republican Party and the implications that it has, not just to the Republicans, but also to the Democrats and to us in Black America. And folks, I'm telling y'all, over these next few months, I'm going to try to do my best to connect the dots and then raise the conversation to a higher level, to the point to understand that all of these things, as my sister Suzette has been saying throughout the day, that all of these things are all happening around the same time. So we have to have the big picture approach as well as a small picture approach. So we got to do two things at once. We got to walk and chew gum at the same time, right? But when we're looking at the situation that's happening within the RNC, with the Republican National Convention and the Republican Party in general, this is some very, very, very concerning stuff. And this is coming out of the latest report from NBC News, where they're talking about how former President Donald Trump is moving forward. His team, his campaign team, is looking to shake up the RNC, calling for the resignation of Ronna McDaniel, who currently serves as the chairwoman of the Republican National Convention. she came out and said earlier today, saying that she is hard at work for the Republicans, trying to get Republicans voted in up and down the ballot, that she does not plan to make any type of departure from her role, even though the New York Times reported that she said that she will be resigning after the South Carolina primary on February the 24th. That has not been confirmed as of yet. But there is some infighting happening within the RNC. Now, here's why this is important to you. Trump is looking to install his people into the RNC. And if you're not familiar with the RNC as a political organization, they're the ones that's handling the money. They are the ones that's handling the support for candidates. They are the go-to, just like the DNC is for the Democrats. They're the same thing for the Republicans. But here's the latest that Trump wants to do, his proposal for changing up, because he foresees himself getting it back into office, but he is trying to put a larger system in place to ensure that his time in office, if it happens, will happen the way he wants it to happen. Take a look at this from NBC News, folks. Check this out. There are two possibilities of change for the RNC that the Trump campaign team is looking at. One is, under the first part of the first plan, 2 Trump-picked co-chairs will be put in place, one to oversee fundraising and the other to oversee party administrative operations, meaning he would break up the RNC into these 2 areas. One of the sources named former RNC chairman Reese Priebus, former Trump administration official, and major GOP donor Linda McMahon and casino magnate Steve Wynn as possibilities to run the fundraising side, while both sources said the operational side is almost certainly to be led by top Trump advisor Chris LaSafita. Now, under this proposal, Ronna McDaniel would technically remain in her position as chairwoman, but she would have to clear nearly all of her major decisions with Trump appointees. According to some folks within the Trump campaign, they said they've merged the DNA. Listen to this, y'all. They merged the DNA of the president's campaign and the RNC starting from 2016. A GOP operative said. The person added that the reason LaSavita is involved is to preserve the status quo of the arrangement. Listen to this. Listen to this, y'all. What candidate has taken their campaign team and is starting to install it into the very foundation, the very root of the party system, like what we're starting to see? That's the first problem, first proposal. Here's the second one. Here's the second one very quickly, then I'm going to get Suzette and get your take, y'all. The other option still on the table is Ronna McDaniel resigning, which would force a hectic and high-profile special election requiring all 168 voting members from across the country to get in the same room to pick a new chair. The New York Times reported Tuesday night that McDaniel told Trump she is planning to resign from her post shortly after the South Carolina primary on February the 24th. NBC News has yet to confirm this report. And she, as I mentioned earlier today, she said that there's still no word of when if she's stepping down or when that would happen, if that would happen. But there's a lot of speculation and a lot of rumors. Trump is putting more and more pressure for her to step down because he's trying to implement his party into this. This is why I say this is dangerous and why we need to have a conversation, because this is like redefining. And as you said, this is not just a change for the RNC, but this is a larger change for the whole political system that we have in this country. And when I'm seeing, and I might be going crazy because I'm reading all this stuff right now, Suzette.
It's not crazy. You're reading it right. It's scary. You're reading it right.
Like we talking about a man who's coming in, bringing him in his team. We don't know the qualifications of his team. We don't know who is sincerely about the interests of of this country. And more importantly, with all of these changes, if he's willing to disrupt and uproot the very party that's looking to put him in power, how do we expect him to think about the interests of Black people, brown people, marginalized communities, disenfranchised communities, the moderate white Republican voter? How do we expect that? Because he's on this path. It's like, you're either with me or you're against me. Talk to me, Suzette. What's your take?
Farajii, you've laid out so much, so eloquently. It's like, where do I start? But I will start with what you just said last, which is, how do we know that they have the best interest of, I would say, of the country and of the voters in mind. And the answer to that for right now seems to be, we don't know, because what is the only qualification that seems to be a requirement for this plan is loyalty to former President Trump. It is not about a mission of ideas. It is not about presenting, a framework for how they plan to make the country better. It's how Trump plans to obtain total control of this party, right? You have to remember his staunch base, that base that keeps showing up in all these caucuses so far and primaries so far, are about a third of the Republican Party. But this is what happens when good people kind of stay silent and on the sidelines. You have a full-throated takeover. He's not even hiding what he wants to do. Some of those people, the folks that you were mentioning, Steve Wynn, who is a casino magnate from Los Angeles, I think it's from Nevada, from Vegas, and a huge financier of Republican politics. I think so many of those people, Reince Priebus, the previous chair who was ousted from his office by President Trump, these are people that have now sworn the oath of fealty to the former president. That's what matters to him. It's, again, not about the openness to serve the ideology of republicanism or whatever that seems to be, because it has been thrown out. Let me give you a little history about Romney McDaniel is her full name. So she came to be the RNC chair around 2016. She was elected in 2017, appointed after the election of Mr. Trump. And what has happened is she has seen a progressively worse showing for every election that she has pretty much overseen. As you talked about, this person is supposed to fundraise. This person is supposed to get candidates elected. This person is supposed to have the national roadmap for the party and how they're going to be effective from state to state. Instead, we've seen nationally in 2018, what happened? Republicans lost 40 seats in the House and therefore lost control of the House. What happened in 2020? They lost the Senate as well now. And it has become, this topsy-turvy, terrible showing in these last two elections. And the question has become, who do you blame for this? Now, the obvious choice is, again, the person who's at the leadership and the head of the national body that's supposed to oversee the Republican battle plan. But there are others that may argue that you are tainting the party because it has become a party of Trump. So the big, hidden open secret of this party is that this man has sucked out all the air out of the proverbial Republican, party room, and there's no room for anybody else. One thing that Ronna McDaniel did during her tenure, and I was just reading about it, I haven't read about it enough in depth to kind of go into details, is that she got rid of a platform committee, like the platform, like what we stand for is now aligned to what President Trump stands for, was one of the huge changes that she made that I think will go as a part of her legacy into why we have seen this dramatic turn. It has not been, something that has happened overnight. We have seen it since his election and then since the overthrow or the attempted overthrow by the January 6th insurrectionists, this kind of ratcheting up of this idea that one man alone can save them. One man alone is republicanism. And so those moderates and those people who have this appetite for someone who is less, I just say less indicted, less criminally possibly liable, far more of a consensus maker. Those people are being drowned out by the enthusiasm and the commitment, the blind commitment, oftentimes by not only the base, but I'm talking about leadership that won't stand up to him. They're afraid of him. So this monster has kind of grown more and more. And by that, I mean the person in the sense of his control over what is republicanism and how the Republican Party now will approach elections going forward. He has begun to rewrite so many of even the state parties and the national parties that you're talking about here because of his divisive politics and him being just a divisive figure as well. If you're looking around the country, and I know there's time for a break. Oh my goodness, I'm way over. But I was going to also say, it's not only in the national level, we can look at what his impact has happened in terms of the different state Republican parties, but we'll get to it after the break.
Let's take a quick pause. When we come back, I got some crew members that shared their thoughts, some concerns. Some folks are saying that this is interesting. Some folks, Official Sadiq, I see you, bro. You putting it out there that this is like a special circus that's happening. But I want us to really understand, y'all. All of these changes, and Vincent Brown, you posted something that's very interesting, and I think we need to address this when we come back. This is happening right in front of our eyes, and we cannot act as if we don't have any, we should not be knowledgeable of it, or more importantly, that we should not prepare for it. Look, we're going to continue the conversation on the other side. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, you're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm joined by my sister Suzette Speaks, and we're talking about this latest plan. And I like the way you said it, Suzette. Open secret of former President Donald Trump and his campaign team and his team in general, looking to make some very big changes within the RNC and essentially within the political operations of the two-party system. Because what he is calling for is not just the removal of the resignation of the chair of the RNC, Ronna McDaniel, but he's also calling for a systems change. And I'm saying an institutional, foundational change where he would break up the RNC, put one side for fundraising efforts, another side for political operations. And y'all understand that if he's talking about fundraising side, where is that money going? How is that money going to be managed? Who is going to be held accountable to make sure that money is going into the places it needs to go? And we know about former President Trump's long history with handling other people's money.
Not only that, Farajii, what is their platform? What is it going to support of? Can I just read this X tweet or whatever we're going to call it now? Nancy Pelosi's daughter, Christine Pelosi, I think sums it up very well. She says, Ronna McDaniel did everything for Donald Trump as he took over the once grand old party. Her words, bent the RNC to his will, eliminated the platform, even changed her name to remove the Romney, and he still fired her anyway. There is no pleasing his bottomless narcissism. That was Christine Pelosi, who is an activist attorney and Nancy Pelosi's daughter. So just to have an idea, when we're looking at the outside, again, if you're on the other side of the aisle, what happens to the Republican Party matters to you because we have had a viable two-party system for a very long time. And if one side is dysfunctional and has only as its only platform cause to be in allegiance to one man, and that's all they're fighting for. We don't hear nothing about economic policy. We don't hear nothing about foreign relations. We don't hear anything about what matters to the American people, right? Healthcare, all these other things, and jobs. When we're looking at the track record of this current administration, and I will back up just a little bit to finish a point I was making earlier, more jobs, less unemployment. When Trump was in office, Black men were at 10% unemployment. Joe Biden has brought it down to 3%. When I looked at the appointments of judges, I just want to correct the record. There were 170 judges so far as of January appointed to permanent. That is lifetime in the federal government. These same courts we're talking about, the trial courts and the appeals court, getting up to the Supreme Court. 170 appointments made. 35 have been Black women. 2/3 of all those 170 that Biden has appointed has been women or minorities. So when we look at that in the length of the federal bench, 98 total Black women has ever served on the federal bench. So we can say 1/3 of them just came from Biden. So when we talk about these courts that we're now subject to, when it comes to these outcomes, when it comes to appeals rulings, who's on that bench matters, right? And again, we're supposed to see impartial referee. But we know there are people who are being politically chosen for their stances. And we can't turn a blind eye to that. That's why when we say we sit on the sidelines, this ball keeps rolling. And so to see what is happening in the RNC, the push that is being made by the Trump side, what they're trying to do. And again, they just had this winter meeting. It was a meeting in Las Vegas this past weekend. Ronna McDaniel, as you stated, after South Carolina, the pressure was on. You got to go, sis. So at first she announced, she's going to go. I'm going to resign if President Trump wants me to. Then it looks like she survived this weekend's meeting. Didn't say much. Now we hear it again because there needs to be, what some would argue, a scapegoat, someone to blame for some of these losses in seats and in the last 2 major elections. So we are seeing her now in the fight for her life. And as I just read from the opinion of Christine Pelosi, she has done so much and bent over backwards to recreate the RNC in the vision of Mr. Trump. And it has become so dangerous for her that she might lose her job behind it. But not only that, it has done, irreparable damage to this party again, that we need to be functioning. because the people of this country have needs. That's why we have government, right? To meet the needs of the people. But if it's not focused on the needs of the people, what is it focused on? And if we're this pledge to Trump as being the only requirement to be a part of this leadership team, it's a dangerous place, because that's just the RNC. Wait till we get if this happens, and if an election takes place where before he is in fact convicted of any of his other ongoing legal battles, you might see someone take the federal government into his own hands in a similar manner, right?
And Suzette, I could not disagree with you most. And I love how you say it, because it speaks to, you're talking about balance, right? You're talking about balance. The balance of this country is rooted in this two-party system, right? That's like what we have. Like it or not, right? Like that is the system, right? So when we have these conversations, and this is not like a fire and brimstone, fear-rooted conversation. I'm calling on us to critically think through this moment that we're in. And there's no way that America currently, with a two-party majority system like Republican and Democrat, if one is like you said it, if one is falling or is breaking up and is working in a dysfunctional manner, y'all, how do you think that's going to handle for the other one?
Right.
I mean, and as crazy as it sounds, this is not about, oh, well, we should keep the Republican Party the way it is. I'm not looking at the philosophy as much as I'm looking at the structure, the infrastructure of this two-party system. Like, do we really understand that you have, and this is where my head is at, Suzette. So I don't know if you've been, kind of keeping up with this or not, but I'm looking at white voters. I'm looking at if white voters are the majority of those who are going to the polls, just by way of the number of white voters that are in this country. We only make up about 13% of the country's population.
Absolutely. That's the majority of people going to the polls.
Majority of people going to the polls mathematically, right? So if that's the case, and they are finding themselves to be in a place where not all white people side with Trump, not all white people they are just in a quagmire, just like the rest of us, right? Trying to figure out which way to go. Uncertainty. Social scientists, political scientists have said that one of the key factors in any type of major disruption in a country's political system is lack of hope and uncertainty. When people feel like they don't have hope, when people are afraid, when people are confused, then guess what? We stop thinking rationally, we stop thinking logically, and we start moving in an impulsive, emotionally driven way. And if you're talking about disrupting the peace of this country, y'all, we already know what the challenges facing Black America is. But now you compound that, because now more and more white Americans in this country are saying, I don't know about this country. I don't have hope in this country. I don't trust the system of this country.
I don't have a home in either party.
I don't have a home in either party. And honestly, and I know there's a lot of system talk. You know how we do this. Like, we can just get up out of another system. That sounds good on paper. But what other system? Suzette, I mean, seriously, crew, what other system can Black folks go to? What is the alternative system outside of this two-party system that is already established, that we can move forward in? There is none at this moment.
Right.
There's no other system.
It wields the control over our lives, right? Whether
in measurable ways, we can talk about destroying the system, but look, I grew up coming from the school of thought from Black nationalists, Pan-Africanists, and all of those great schools of thought. But then as I continue to grow and understand how politics work, how social systems work, how humanity works, I'm like, you can't talk about destroying one thing and you don't replace it with something else. You got to give people, because people's lives are so integrated and intertwined into the systems.
You need strong parties. We got to take a break, Farajii. I want to get this because I know we have a special guest for the next segment. Please understand, on the Republican side, they don't have a strong system or party leadership. We've just talked about Nevada, the chair being indicted. Let's talk about Arizona. The chair just resigned with regards to some sort of play for play, allegedly, with Carrie Lake, who is running for Senate. Basically, he tried to, according to this tape, we hear him trying to kind of cajole her to get out the race, and she'll be taken care of. We have the Florida GOP. Christian Ziegler was just forced to resign. He was caught up in a possible sexual assault case, allegedly. And now Evan Powers was just elected in January here. He and his wife were mixed up into some extramarital affair. And the lady said that he possibly assaulted her, allegedly. Michigan, I wish we could delve even deeper into the Black woman over the Michigan Republican Party, Christine Karamo. She has been challenged. They want her out, where there is two people now making a claim to that party. They went to this winter meeting and they put the listing of the chair under Michigan as vacant and gave both of them a visitor's pass, right? So she has lost the support of the party in Michigan. And I'm just saying, look at the state by state impact of those who are trying to, in Christine Karamo's case, she has came into power. She's very interesting as a figure. I've been reading a lot more about her outside of the establishment, which is the establishment money. And now establishment could mean allegiance to Trump folks. And what to do. You've pointed it out so well. What to do where you're a Republican, but you're not pro what Donald Trump got going on. Where do you go? Right. And that's the big question. So looking at either the national so-called upheaval that we just talked about, or by state, these are swing states, Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, Florida. They have had problems with the heads of their statewide chairs. And it's kind of like getting worse. So we don't want the implosion of a whole party in this two-party system based on one man's desire to hold on to every aspect of power, both at the state level and at the national level, and then possibly through an election, the government itself. But we got to leave it there.
We got to leave it there. And I'm looking for, I think my sister Tiana posted something that from the great Sun Tzu, because again, folks, I'm on a whole different vibe. I'm on a whole different wave as we kind of go into this year, where we understand and putting things in proper context. And this is part of, I think, one of the, what's the word I'm looking for, Suzette? Like, this is part of the reason why some of us have this kind of view of politics, because it's so limited. But politics and social systems and all of these things are interrelated. None of this stuff is happening, stands on its own. It's not an isolated situation. Mm-hmm. So what Trump does on that side of the aisle will affect what happens on this side of the aisle, right? 100%. What Biden does on this side of the aisle affects what happens on the other side of the aisle. But even more so, have you ever been in a time in this country where we have seen an individual, and I'm just putting this as an individual as Trump, but more importantly, a philosophy? This country is going into such an extreme direction that people are literally fighting for their sanities in their thinking and consciousness, because we are being exposed to things that we never thought would happen in America, that we have to grapple with in this country. We've seen this kind of breakdown, and I'm telling y'all, folks, this is not just Farajii, this is kind of going off. This is Farajii understanding, like, if you've seen other countries, if you study history, if you see what's happening in quote unquote third world countries or countries that have been plagued by civil war and all of these things, people are looking at America and saying, we're on a track to really get into a place. Now, how are we going to respond? That's going to be the big question, to your point, Suzette. It's the response. You can't just tell Black people, just go out and vote. You can't it just can't be that simple. If you just say, just go out and vote, once y'all vote, everything is going to be all right. If the system is falling brick by brick, party by party, idea by idea, then we have to figure out, and I'm saying this is where the critical thinking is, this is where our understanding, our knowledge has to be raised up. We have to say, damn, let me figure out a different way. Black elected officials have a duty to preserve us, to guide us through this moment. If they don't have the vision and the understanding and the knowledge to guide us through this dark, dark period in America, we're going to find ourselves even deeper into despair. And that's the last thing that Black America needs, that we're going to get kind of shuffled through it. So it's a lot. I know it's a lot. And I want us to continue to have these conversations. And Suzette, I thank you for even like providing some insight into this. But just y'all just walk with me through
this.
A
lot of food for thought. We'll be here for you. I just say the Republicans got to get their house in order. I'm going to leave it there.
Ooh. And the Democrats, here's real quick. The Democrats can't play the game of, look at what's going on in your house. Woo.
It hurts both. It hurts the country as a whole. What's going on there?
It hurts the country. All right, let's take a quick pause. When we come back, let's shift gears. We're going to have the Culture Artist Spotlight on the other side, checking in with Jason D. Harris as we talk about the power of the independent Black artist. We'll have that conversation up next. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We're going to do something a little special throughout the year. I want to make sure that we give as we have these conversations about politics and everything that's happening socially, we cannot forget those who are paving a path for us culturally. And so we're having today our Culture Artist Spotlight. And then the first Culture Artist Spotlight for the year of 2024 is my brother, Jason D. Harris, who is joining us to talk to us a little bit about the work, the music that he's doing to take the culture even further. So welcoming to the airwaves of the Black Star Network is my brother, Jason D. Harris. Brother Jason, welcome to the culture. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. blessed to be here, see another day, and you know, I look forward to add more to the culture. And yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As we're also joined by my sister Suzette Speaks, as we have this culture artist spotlight. Brother Jason, talk to us about the type of artist. You are an independent artist, an independent Black artist, right? So you are on the grind every day, making sure that you're putting content out there. First, let's talk about your content. You have a song called Champion right now that is garnering nearly 1 million views on it. And I want us to play just a little bit of what you put out there on Champions and got people excited about your artistry. Take a listen, folks, as this is Jason D. Harris with his song, Champion.
Yeah, I came to win. I'm a champion. I was swimming in the dark before they hit the light. I was born to tell the truth, not to tell a lie. If you want to take a shot, it's going down tonight. I didn't come to let go, here to let you know. I didn't come to let go, here to let you know. I didn't come to let go, you should let them know. I'm about to kick in all the doors and running with my crew. Couldn't have been the better, yeah. But they tryna do to me, tryna knock me down, yeah. They got a alley-oop again. All up in the screen, doing the pick the road to again. Screaming that they ballin' like an old man too. Whistle for me, I'ma get the love to come through. Hear the whistle for me, I'ma call her out like 1, 2. We don't never miss. Watch the check it down like I'm through. He's a champion, straight up out the thing, not brand new. Yeah.
Hey, hey, hey,
if you want to take your shot, it's going down tonight. I didn't come to let go, but to let you know.
He's trying to make us champions today. Yeah, you hail. Hey, Jason, you hail all the way from the great city of St. Louis, the Louvre. Talk to us about, how would you describe your artistry, bro? Because that's a banger right there. Talk to us.
Oh man, I've always been about the culture, and I'm an educator, and I started in St. Louis. That's my hometown, and my company is called Mind of the Noise, and so it's all about what you're putting out in the universe, what you're receiving, and what you're putting out there, and if we are mindful of what we're saying and what we're putting out there, then the work is being done. So, man, I started in the church, man. I was an organist as a kid, and I'm home trying to copy music that I was hearing on the radio that interests me, and I was really big in my neighborhood, helping homeless to, working with the youth, and now I'm a behavior therapist, so I'm a therapist in the education world here in LA. I started in St. Louis, and now I'm at CWC Hollywood, and I've been here for 6 years, and I have a beat school that I give back to the community and the youth called MOTN Beat School here in LA, and I teach them how to be entrepreneurs. And so I'm a conscious rapper. I'm very, I want it to be thoughtful. I want to be meanings in it. I think about leaving music behind and what people are receiving, and to tell the story of our time, and how to get through hard times as well too, and how to live.
That's dope.
So it's a collection of everything that we see and hear through our daily walk, and I want to be educational to the youth.
That's fantastic.
That is dope, man. That is really dope. And for you as an independent art artist, I mean, you're a behavioral therapist, you are an educator, so you're connecting. You see what's happening with the next generation, right there, like on a face-to-face daily basis. What do you see? How We've had these conversations about the influence, the power of music. From your vantage point, how much does music really influence the mind, the culture, the behavior of the next generation?
It affects them a lot. A lot of the kids, they and see things on the media, and they think this is reality, and so they're taking that and they're feel like this is the way. And it's so important that what we sing and what we demonstrate, because we promote what we're promoting ourselves, and we're teaching them how to do what we do every day.
Yeah.
And I think we forget that as artists, yeah, we have this gift and this blessing, and God will make room for us, but how we're leading them, how we're guiding them. And I see it every day. I have two wonderful kids. I'm around wonderful kids every day. It's a diverse community, and we get to talk about the things that we hear at home, or how to express our art through the things we love to do most, and how do we do that without hindering others and putting others down, or how can we learn, how can we be how can we take education and turn it to edutainment,
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been on, man. And
That's
I
great.
I see it. So I write songs to heal, and I write my most songs when I'm around the youth, when I see difficult things, and how can we break that down on a level to where kids can understand it,
That's it. That's it. That's it.
That's true, for us
Yeah.
leaders that's trying to lead in the right way. I represent leaders that's trying to lead the way. I represent our culture, it's bigger than rap, it's bigger than music. It's about what are we doing for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Suzette, what's your question for Jason?
Yeah, you're a deep thinker, I can tell, and thank you. I just followed you on Instagram, and I was checking out your music. To your point, when you talk about words having so much power, for someone, an old head like me, who grew up on like the KRS Ones and the Talib Kweli's and the Most Defs and all that, I am always of the contention that people would like conscious music if that's what was promoted. If you keep promoting ratchetness to us, that's what the culture becomes. So I feel like, or my question to you is there room for consciousness in today's music landscape or Black music landscape? Do we have a real appetite for conscious music, or is it, time for the ratchet and the breakdown of every aspect of our lives in terms of how the community once looked up to its musicians? Now we're afraid when our kids look up to certain musicians, and we're wondering, again, what does this do for the culture? So is there room for a voice like yours, or an appetite for a voice like yours? What do you think?
I think so. I think most definitely. I think we need more people to create the lane and create that space where and understand the youth and where they're at, for the conscious to live on. Also, remember and relate to the ones that done it, and not forget those who set the platform, and letting them know that that's what that was. It was all about the positivity before all the ratchet, and hip hop didn't come from that. Yes, we talk about our lifestyle, we talk about things that we experience, but I think as a adult, we have to remember that we're showing them everything. And we have to make sure that we're guiding them the right way. So I think it's most definitely enough room. I think we need to bring it in. We need to meet the kids where they're at with it. If it's starting up a class like I did and teaching about it, also sharing that, hey, I'm like you,
Yeah.
and look at me now. I've got my master's degree. I lived in that life, and this is the steps that I took to be where I'm at today. And letting them know, hey, it's okay for those to not understand, but how do we get to the place where we are all together because we all in the same situation, trying to grow and trying to build the society, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, brother Jason, we got a few moments left, but I want to kind of get your take on this because everybody was talking about Jay-Z over these past few days, talking about the Grammys and whether we should be in a space of, taking the Grammys seriously, especially as Black artists, or should we kind of shun that particular system? What's your take on that conversation, bro? As an independent artist, are you looking to be an artist that is awarded and getting that type of accolades, or are you just at a space that's like, whether I get a Grammy or not, I'm here for my reward, and my awards is from the people or from other places? What's your take on that?
We have like 30 seconds. Go.
I'm for the people. My reward is what I see in front of me. You know, the positive effect it has on the youth and the people around me. I don't feel like I need a trophy to feel like I'm high up in the food chain, or I feel like where I'm at right now, what my mission is. And,
gotcha.
It goes there, but that's not my
ultimate goal. You don't even worry about them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's my drive. My drive is sending a message out.
Absolutely.
Educating while doing this, you know.
Absolutely. And just for clarity, you are an independent artist, but you are signed to a label.
Yes, so I have an independent artist deal through Ingrooves, Revenate, and this is owned by Universal Music Group.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah. There it is right there. Well, look, Jason, you are putting out some great content, something that I think even more so just the type of person, the type of brother that you are, where you are saying, look, I'm going to make this music, but I'm also going to give back, working in the schools, helping young people to understand the power of music on the positive side, helping them with their behavior, because music has a lot of healing power as well. So we understand that. How can people find more information? How can they follow you on your social? Give us all the details, bro.
So you can find me on Instagram at JasonD_Harris, mindofthenoise.com, as well as Mind of the Noise on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, where all the are at. And that's how you can find me. If you need me, just hit me up.
Hey, we'll find you.
There we go. We'll definitely find you.
Thanks for coming.
Well, I appreciate you, big brother. I appreciate you, Jason D. Harris. Oh, you're welcome, bro. You're welcome. Jason D. Harris for the Culture Artist Spotlight for 2024, the first artist that we highlighted this year. And his song is Champion, but he has a lot of other songs to add to the culture. But Jason, thank you. There it is right there. That's his cover art for the song Champion. The video you saw, this is racking up views on Instagram. So big congratulations to you, brother. But thank you so much for who you are. And more importantly, thank you for being so good for the culture, Jason. We truly appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming by.
All right, folks. Suzette, what a conversation. We have some good ones. Look, Suzette, I'm just saying, we about to go into a different era with the culture and the work that you're doing. But how can people find out the great work that you're doing as well, Suzette?
Follow me, Suzette Speaks. I know we're over time. They're going to kill us, but please check me out if you're in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. I'm doing an event February 27th called Celebrating Men of the Movement, downtown Fort Lauderdale. Celebrating 10 outstanding Black men leading in their industries for a fireside chat. We'll have libations, food, all that good stuff. Find it on Eventbrite, Celebrating Men of the Movement. Thank you for having me, Farajii. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. My sister Suzette Speaks. Make sure y'all follow her. You make sure y'all connect with her. You make sure y'all support her. And you can always see her here on The Culture and on the Roland Martin Unfiltered here on the Black Star Network. Suzette Speaks. Thank you for being so good for the culture. All right, folks. Absolutely. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. I thank each and every one of you, some of our legacy culture crew members and our new culture crew members. I hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And, of course, put something in the pot and just fund us today. And big shout out to all of those who have funded us today. I got Al Goodwin. Thank you so much for being a new supporter and being a part of the Bring the Funk fan club at a level 3. So thank you so much, Al. And my brother Vincent Morales gifted 5 Roland Martin memberships Vincent, you always come through. You come through with the bundles, brother. So I appreciate you so much, Vincent. Thank you for your ongoing support, not just in the chat, but also putting your money where your mouth is. So thank you for those memberships. 5 brand new memberships for my brother Vincent Morales.
Vincent.
There we go. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Make sure y'all stay tuned. Up next is Rolling Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. Follow me on social media at The Real Farajii on Instagram and at Farajii on the X platform. And I look forward to connecting with you there. Stay tuned. Up next is Rolling Martin Unfiltered. Talk to you soon. Have a great evening. Peace.